So calling meeting to order. Present tonight are
Lynn Carrera.
Tom Vendetti.
John Bartlett.
And Brack.
Greg Dalton Chair, and we have Dr. Yes, Michael Zimmerman here tonight from Bridgewater State University. And that's all we have in the room. And actually, if you guys are in agreement, we'll just go right to Dr. Zimmerman's talk about the survey that he did. He and the students did here at the old burying ground. That okay with everybody?
Yeah.
And then we can leave and get back.
No, I want to.
You want to leave them till last then? We'll leave them till last. Okay, would you like, you can hook up then if you'd like.
Sure.
Well, you know what? How is that gonna work?
Not a clue.
Because we, that's online and people can you share it?
Oh, yeah, I think I should be able, if I can talk to the computer, I should be able to.
You can dial into the call.
Oh, that'll work too. I can do directly from the computer. I'll have to, hopefully we won't get feedback, but I'll do my best. How do I access the call dial-ins?
It's on the web page.
Yeah, I
it's
got it
on the
right
bottom
here.
of the meeting.
Is extra.
I don't,
Yeah, maybe.
unfortunately, I don't have, is there a wireless
This-
connection?
Oh, there is. It may not have a password, the wireless connection.
I'll turn on a hotspot for myself.
Okay.
So. Turn on the hotspot and then I'll connect to that. And if anybody wants to talk about mail while I'm getting set up.
All right, well, we did get them some mail. Actually, after the meeting, went down there, was the mail, it was a thank you note in here from, who do you think? He's not here tonight. It's not Jim.
Dave,
Dave.
I was,
I'd like to thank you and the commission for the opportunity to serve with such a talented and dedicated group. As a resident of Kingston, I appreciate all of your hard work. Good luck with the 300. Thanks again, Dave. That's because he is not renewing. And so we're going to talk about briefly the,
That's Dave McKee.
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So unfortunately, he's leaving, but he did have a recommendation who did apply for the historical commission spot, a volunteer, and that was Linda Rogosta. And you know her, and you want to speak about that? Before you do, Ken sent out a copy of this thing to everybody today.
I read it.
You could see.
Was she the lady who spoke at the meeting? Was she here with the Veterans
Yes,
Committee?
so she's,
And she had mentioned being interested in coming on.
yes,
Okay.
yep. So she's been working with the Veterans Memorial Committee. And then she was a liaison with the Memorial Day Parade Committee for the Veterans Committee. She's a very nice woman, very interested in history, and she very thorough in everything she did, and I highly recommend it.
That's great.
So, you guys want to say anything else about, I guess.
Well, I like the idea of having another woman on board. I
Me
mean,
too.
I remember the time when there was, no, seriously, I remember a time it was all guys all the time. And I think it's
Hi.
good to have.
Conservation is over in the big building, big room.
Big room.
Sorry.
So I think it's a good idea. And your recommendation is certainly valuable.
yeah.
By losing Dave, we lose a veteran, but she's a veteran, so that
All
kind of
right,
hits that aspect of
Oh,
history as
that's
well.
great.
that's very
So,
good.
Yep.
So
That
No,
is-
I mean, people who want to do it and are enthusiastic about it,
Yeah.
I say.
Is she
absolutely.
enthusiastic about history? She
Yes.
likes it? Yeah, that's what you need. You need somebody who likes,
That's what it says here.
right, yeah.
So
I would
I'll
say,
drop a
if I
line.
if
to
I
the
remember, she
selectmen.
was very interested at the meeting that she came to and kind of what we did
Yeah.
and everything.
And she says she was an administrator and with experience with committee work. And, yeah, great, yeah.
Yeah,
She's an active person, which is good.
she's interested in the chairmanship. Or secretary. Okay, so I'll just draw a note down to the selectman's office. that, we're in agreement, this be a good fit, and they will appoint her next time. We also, how we coming, Mike, okay?
Yeah, and we'll try the passcode again.
The passcodes.
Which passcode is?
The 142341.
Should be for this room, but I'm trying to check for my emails.
Yeah, it's not matching the code.
Of course.
If we can also, I can also email it to myself if I can access the internet via that computer.
I don't know.
What is your email?
MZIMMERM@bridgew.edu. Now, I don't know how other people are logging into the, oh, you know what? There, it is a different passcode, 777-273.
How'd you find that?
It's on the updated agenda.
Wait, got it.
Yeah. So I should be there in just a moment and saying, waiting for the host to start the meeting. But then again,
It
even if
should
the
be.
meeting's already
Sorry,
on.
is that what it says right now?
Yeah, I think it's on different agendas.
You tweaked the agenda.
Oh, you know what it was? It was I clicked on the January 10th agenda, not the June 12th agenda.
Okay.
That's on me, folks.
Lynn, what are you up to? Hmm,
Sorry?
what are you up to?
Oh, I was just gonna try and send them the invite, but we don't have the password.
Are you on hold, Ken?
Yes, no.
Okay.
Now I'm great. Oh, Lord in heaven. Okay. There we go.
Wow, it's working.
Okay, thank you so very much for your patience, everyone. So I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen.
Want the lights out or let's go all right?
I'm going to actually turn off my computer audio because we're getting a little bit of feedback right now. There we go. How about that? Is that better? Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
We can hear you.
Awesome. All right, so with that, I'll jump in. Awesome.
There you go.
Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Technical difficulties, but we are past that now. So I also have a physical copy of the report. I've emailed copies of the report to
Yeah.
everyone.
I've got a couple.
Thank you very much. You can feel free to pass those around. The last 30 pages or so are Dr. Brandon and my CVs, so please feel free to ignore those. That's just a requirement from Mass Historical Commission to include those. So what I'd like to talk about is, this project actually began, its early beginnings were actually back in 2022. We'd originally planned to do this during the summer 2022 field session, but the priority ended up being to focus on the Sylvia Pond Dam Breach project, which took a lot longer and a lot more effort than we'd originally intended, but we had pretty good results there. So instead, this project ended up being for actually 2 weeks. The first week of July in 2023, first week after July 4th, and then again in August of 2023. So the old burying ground, as you all know, is in the center of the Kingston Center Historic District and is located in the town. It is surrounded by a number of different historic places, including the 1853 Evergreen Cemetery, the 1851 Kingston Parish Meeting House, although we know that there was a meeting house at the location going back to prior to the first burial at the old burying ground in 1717. Also included there are the historic places of the Civil War Monument, the training green, and supposedly the original location of the 1806 Powder House, which we'll get to in just a bit. This is the original project map that was sent to us by the wonderful Craig Dalton of the Kingston Historical Commission back in 2022, which showed 5 different AOIs or areas of interest. The first of these was a roughly triangular area along the north slope of the old burying ground on the border with the Evergreen Cemetery, where there was concern that there may have been slave or pauper burials. The second was a grid of an open area directly due west of the original Kingston Townhouse and directly near the eastern entrance to the old burying ground, where we were concerned there might be slave or pauper burials. The third grid was looked to be focused around the Francis Adams Monument in the center of the old burying ground of what was the pre-1859 northern boundary of the old burying ground. So there was a deed change in 1859 that basically released the area to the north of the Francis Adams Monument. We also have area number 4, which is currently covered up by the Zoom squares, but it's where a series of box tombs, late 18th century and early 19th century box type tombs were located, and the historic cart path that supposedly originally connected the end of the parish house and Main Street to the townhouse. And then the training green, as you can see, is located directly to the east. I'll move the little boxes to the side, located directly to east of there. So what were we trying to figure out? Well, again, with grids 1 and 2, which you can see that are located here, we are trying to locate any particular slave and pauper burials. To do this, we basically created these rectangular grids across those 2 areas, where we did a series of 50-centimeter interval GPR transects, GPR survey transects. We did these specifically up the hill and in short bursts for a couple of reasons. Number one, we don't want to do any GPR transects over 20 meters long, because the signal can degrade and give us bad data. Additionally, we also want to try to move the GPR perpendicular to the outline of any graves as best as we can see, because they show up a little bit better. With grid 3, what we decided to do instead, because the Francis Monument was essentially, as you know, it's a big sort of stone enclosure with a large stone obelisk in the middle. Not exactly something we can easily run a GPR antenna over. So rather than doing one single large grid that was interrupted by the monument, we decided to do 3 smaller sized grids directly to the east, north, and west of the Francis Adams Monument. Then, of course, we have the grid 6, which is area of interest number 4. We elected, instead of this whole area, to essentially do a thin rectangle directly east of the box tombs, because we were looking to uncover whether these box tombs were originally accessed from the top, or whether or not there were originally small entrances to these box tombs, where the granite block wall is currently located in between the old burying ground and the training green. And then for the cart path, because this was a very, very long area where we would have had a ton of very, very short transects to determine its path, and we were pressed for time, we decided instead, on the advice of Tom Vendetti, to do an extended rectangle in the area along the northwest corner of the First Parish Meeting House. This was done for 2 reasons. One is to be able to catch the edge of the possible historic cart path. The other one was to see if there was a possible entrance or overhang or porte cochere where people may have traveled in the cart path up to the meeting house, picked up folks at the meeting house, and then moved on to the townhouse, or vice versa. So what were the results of this? We found anomalies, relatively consistent with burials at a depth of 4.1 feet in grid 1. This is on the eastern end of the grid, closer to the North Slope tombs, the North Slope cast iron door tombs. As such, we would recommend caution in the renovation of these tombs moving forward with the preservation master plan for the old burying ground, simply because there is a possibility of disturbing these possible burials. Again, we can't confirm that those are burials, that they are at the moment just anomalies. But we can't confirm that without ground truthing, but we do recommend that care be taken in the area around them if any digging has to be done for the restoration.
So that is the entire length, or it's the entire length of that rectangle?
That's the entire length of the rectangle, and the anomalies that you can see cropping up here are specifically in the eastern half of that rectangle.
And
So
that's the red is the anomaly.
the anomaly is the lighter blue. The darker areas are normal soil. The anomalies, which are reflections of the EM pulses from the ground penetrating radar, are the brighter blue areas.
And where does it begin? Does it begin at the stone wall on the
Uh,
left?
It begins, if I can go back to the area
Okay,
here.
yeah.
So you can see here are the tombs
Yep.
that are
Yeah.
carved out of the north slope.
Yep.
Yeah.
It begins right here. and
Oh, I
moves
see.
towards
Okay, I
here.
got, right. I
So
got it.
all of the anomalies that we see are right here.
Oh, I see, I see. Oh,
So the plan for the master preservation plan, from Martha Lyons Landscaping, Architecture, et cetera, to basically create a central path moving up this way, as long as it is not as deep as 4 feet,
Mhm.
and it is, not directly next
I
to
see.
the tombs, it shouldn't disturb anything.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of the wrong.
Now,
No, that's, we want to be clear on that, yeah.
By anomalies, what? Where
So-
exactly?
So the way ground penetrating radar works is that we have a antenna, in this case, a 400 megahertz antenna, which sends regular electromagnetic pulses into the ground. This is measured against what's called a dielectric. This is essentially the resistance of the ground to the EM pulse. So for example, if there is more water in the ground or there's metal in the ground, there'll be more reflection. If there's less water in the ground, there'll be less reflection. So things that would show up and create voids that may be indicative of burials or objects that may be indicative of things like buried stone, et cetera, are going to reflect differently than the surrounding soil.
So I have a quick question.
Yeah.
4 feet just seems rather shallow.
It does. Now, the reason, there could be a particular reason for this. And that is particularly because of the slope of this area. It's a very, very steep slope, approximately 25 to 35 degrees. And when you're pushing the GPR up the slope, the electromagnetic pulse is going straight down at an angle. So it's very difficult unless you do a process in post-processing called surface normalization, which can get very, very complicated to determine exact depth. So it's entirely possible that these are burials that are deeper than they appear. So they may be approximately 6 feet deep. So for example, you'll see, we go to grid 2, you can see in the western quadrant of grid 2, we do have a couple of possible burials. Specifically, I know it's hard to see because I blew it up and it's not great resolution at this, blowing it up like this, but we can see one specifically here and another here and another here.
Are those 4 meters from the tombs or from the entrance of the tombs?
This is specifically directly west of the old townhouse.
Those are different. That's
Oh,
This is a
Different
different
grid.
grid. So I just moved it here. The reason I moved it here is because you can see these are anomalies where we'd expect them. They are at 6.15 feet deep. So, when we talk about burials being 6 feet
All right.
deep, that's where we really would expect them to be.
Can we go back to that grid 1
Yeah.
picture from?
I wasn't sure if maybe we should put some more dirt on top, like as part
Yeah.
of the planning, if we needed to be concerned if they were that shallow.
This picture here, though,
Mhm.
now you're saying on the right is where they are, but there's much more blue to the left,
No, where they are is the blue. That is.
the light blue.
Yes,
Light blue,
if we're looking at.
So that's the western.
Yeah, because you can see here, I didn't put in a compass here, I should have put in compasses.
Right.
This is north,
Okay,
this is east.
Oh,
Got it.
okay,
South.
all right.
got
Yeah.
it. Now, so you're talking, what I'm saying is, okay, so, the tombs, there's one group of tombs go this way, I think it's two, and then there's a group that go this way. You know what I mean? It's like at a 90-degree angle.
Right,
Yes,
Is that where that 90-degree angle is, and then
Yeah.
it goes this way?
so there's two tombs here and
Yes,
here
yeah.
and then here and here.
That's
So
right.
It's like this L.
And this is 10 meters from the entrance of the tombs?
This
This
is,
is
yeah,
the entrance?
no, the entrances are over here.
Okay.
So you can see that there's a tomb right here.
Got it.
A tomb right
Got it,
here,
got it.
and another here
Yeah.
and here.
That makes sense, yeah.
All of this line across here is the pavement separating the old burying ground and the.
Right.
And the, and the Evergreen Cemetery.
Great.
So that
and
line
then-
is right up to the pavement,
And the line is right up to the pavement.
so there could be burials under that road as well. then. If the
And
blue is right up. to the
Yeah, entirely possible. I don't believe there's any plans. Now, again, we say burials, I'm gonna use the term anomalies
Possible.
because these are just simply reflections in
Right.
the soil. Unless they're ground truthed, which means digging them up, and no one wants to dig up burials, then there's no way to determine. But because, I mean, for all I know, these could be large buried rocks. These could be underground utilities. Now, I don't think they are
I was gonna
because
say,
of
but
the
it's
specific
in a
depths.
cemetery next
Ye-
to some tombs.
Yeah, it's in the cemetery because it's in the cemetery next to some tombs. Because if I go back to grade one, it's pretty much in one part of the area and not in the other. You'd expect if we were dealing with very rocky soil, you would have it in one part, not the other. Another possibility with these is this could be buried debris from the construction of the tombs.
Mhm,
That's another possibility as well.
yeah.
So those are the two that make the most sense to me are either the possibility of burials or construction debris from the construction of those cast iron door tombs. Which again, if it does turn out that it's that shallower depth, that would make more sense that it's debris from the construction of the tombs.
So on that one there, grid two, I like, it's almost like VIT there, the spelling, it's like, that should be the anomaly versus the light blue, you know? It's like there's somebody, they spelled something on the ground there. See the V going up the right side? There's
Oh.
a T,
Yeah,
pretty,
so you're looking up the right side like
Yeah.
this. Yeah. Okay, well, here's the deal. The anomalies that I'm actually looking at are the box-like anomalies
Yes.
here
yeah,
and here
Yes.
and here.
Yes.
These lines here that we see here, we believe those are actually very deep roots.
Yeah.
Because there are nearby trees, there's a
Yes.
nearby tree, in that area.
Yeah.
So, with grids 3 to 5, we found absolutely nothing. There were no burials around the Francis Adams Monument. There were no anomalies of any kind. There was no indication of any footings or foundations. So there are a couple of possible explanations here. One is that the original 1806 Powder House was not located in the immediate vicinity of the Adams Monument, so it could have been placed elsewhere along that northern boundary. So I'd recommend if y'all want any additional GPR work in the future, which we're happy to do, we can expand the ground penetrating work around that what was originally the 1859 northern boundary. The other possibility, as you can see here from this photo of the Powder House, is that the foundations were essentially granite blocks. Those simply could have been taken with.
but we're not even certain there were granite blocks.
And we were not even certain that there are, could have been no foundations at all.
Right, just,
The other possibility is that that's not really where the powder house was. As we can see here from the, this is from the Macris, Massachusetts Cultural Resource Inventory System file on the powder house. We can see that the 1806 powder house was moved multiple times
Yes.
across its history.
Well,
From
all fairly recent though. I mean, that's the last 20 years or so.
No, we have 1806. We know it was somewhere in either the training green or the burying ground in 1806. There are town meetings this is one of the things, and you guys know about records from town meetings better than anybody, right?
Yep.
There are records, from what I can tell from the Macris file, there were records in town meetings in 1806 stating that it would be placed at the north end of the burying ground. There were other records from other town meetings say that it was going to be placed directly on the training green.
Mm-hmm.
No kidding.
Which one? Yeah. Which one it was?
Did you write that in here?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
There's also another record saying that it was near the Hearst house.
Yeah.
So-
And that's
They
where it was
moved
actually
around.
moved. That's actually where it was moved in
Yeah.
1853. You see where it says
Quite a journey.
north
to
of the
end up where it
townhouse.
started from.
Yeah. So if
Nobody
you see
wanted it.
where it says north of the townhouse, that's where it was placed, right next to the Hearst house, starting in 1853.
Yeah.
Then it was moved to the highway department in 2002. Moved to Elm Street in 2004, Green Street in 2012.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
What's it doing now?
It's being resided over at the font school.
Yeah, and so it's currently over at the font school. The best one of the best results we got was from grid 6, which was the simplest. It was a 20-foot transect. And I don't know if there's a way that we can move or minimize the Zoom squares. I don't want to take up everybody's time.
I thought you had some up there.
Thank you so much. It is a very, very small, like 1 meter by 20 meter rectangle, but we can see very obviously both in the 2D scan where you can see the actual waves of the EM pulse in essentially the oscilloscope of the EM. So it's the one of the 2D scans, and then the 3D time slice. You can see directly along the granite block wall the original entrances to the box type tombs.
Really?
So we were able to determine that the box type tombs extended all the way to the granite wall and most likely had entrances along the training green prior to the construction of that wall.
Do you think, right, so do you think the granite wall was placed in front of the entrances?
There's really no way to tell.
Okay.
It could have been placed in front of the entrances. It's also possible that the entrances could have been removed and the granite block wall put in its place.
Right.
Again, without actually taking apart the wall and
Right,
excavating the graves, which we're not gonna do.
Right.
We actually are, if I could get to that.
Oh, I was
Okay.
gonna say,
We're in the middle of
Please
redoing.
expound.
We're in the middle of redoing the box tombs. We had some Revolutionary War veterans that we redid some of them, and then some Civil War stones that we're redoing. So the company that we just hired that started the Civil War stones are going to be doing the box tombs hopefully either this week or next week. They are going to go down to the top. So this gentleman that does it, they've done several in communities throughout Massachusetts. They should be around it to him.
Mhm.
And he feels a little different than you. He feels that because the back of them are staggered down, he said historically the entrance is facing the church. So he feels that they'll find
Really?
the entrance at the front of the church. And that backside is just the staggered down part of the tomb itself being built. So they're gonna go down to the top, but
Right.
there'll be enough to tell which side is the entrance. and which
That's
side is not.
entirely possible. That's entirely possible. All I can say in terms of, because I'm not ground truthing or excavating,
Yes.
I'm not doing the restoration. What I can tell, the only thing I can tell you is that there appears to be an extension of the tombs all the way to the granite block wall.
To the wall. Very
Yeah,
good.
now
Okay.
whether that is the end of the tombs,
It's a
and this
secret
is,
exit.
and this is a very shallow
door.
depth. This is only 40 centimeters deep.
Oh, okay.
This is a very, very shallow depth that we're seeing these anomalies.
So the wall is right here, right?
No, the
You're
wall,
looking at a top view, looking
Yep.
down.
yeah, we're looking top wall looking down. This is going from north to the south. So the granite wall, block wall actually moves across
Right,
here.
so the wall's out here.
Yeah, and that's
Okay.
why we thought that the entrance, that the tombs went all the way up to that wall. Because as you can see, even though we ran the GPR directly against the wall.
Yep.
We still have all the way here, we have the continuation.
Why
of these
wouldn't there be
wetlands.
stuff here connected to the wall? Why is this not shown?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
It's interesting, and these corresponded,
Those
To the
corresponded
box.
directly to the box. tombs.
and this one here, this
Well, maybe
view
if they
here is
sealed
kind of
them
like
up.
looking at this, but
Yeah.
a
Sure.
side view.
Close them off.
Then that
I
would
think
be
that's a
thicker.
distinct possibility
It is,
that they
yeah.
could have, that they could have sealed them up with brick on one end. To avoid degradation or as a way of stabilizing them prior to the construction of the granite block wall.
And he did say as well with, multiple churches in town, the entrances may have been on the other side.
Yeah.
And not just coming out of the one church to go into it, so.
And it would make sense if entrances would face the church. That would make a great deal of sense. So, yeah, if that turns out to be the case, I'd love to know.
We will fill you in
what it is.
definitely.
Yeah, fill us in and I can send an updated copy of the report to, with this additional information to you guys. For the, I assume for the, gravestone restoration, the permitting process through the MHC has been taken care of.
Not that
Well,
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm done with that.
Okay, I can send you that information. I ran into something similar when they were looking to do the gravestone restoration at a cemetery up in Danvers.
Okay,
So I can send you, it's a very, very simple form. I can
Sure.
send it to you right away.
okay,
But that's typical to inform the MHC of any gravestone restoration. But yes, so these might be entrances, these might be the back ends of the tomb. All we can say for sure is that we have anomalies that go up to the granite block wall.
So what, I'm sorry,
And
what's,
that correspond to where.
I
the
want
tombs
to know what this, can you explain
Yeah.
this one?
So this is, so it says here, 2D scan and 3D time slice. So the way that the scan works is as you're pushing basically the GPR antenna looks like a big lawnmower. You know, you guys were out in the site, you guys saw it, right?
Yeah.
And as you're pushing it, it's basically got a antenna that sends out a signal and a receiver that receives the signal when it bounces back. So what you're actually seeing here with all of these different waves are the EM pulses going down in the soil and then returning, right? So if it hits any anomalies that don't match the surrounding soil, it's going to bounce back these brighter reflections here, right? And this style of reflection that we see here directly fits what we would expect for a tomb, with the dark, light, dark, and then another smaller dark, light, dark to the bottom. So you can see one here and here, here and here, here and here, here and here, and those correspond roughly to those, but those correspond roughly to the top and the bottom of the tombs themselves. So this would be the top layer of the tomb, this would be the bottom layer of the tomb. What this is it's a one-dimensional, it's a two-dimensional picture of a single transect moving in this direction. So you can see, imagine the lawnmower, the GPR antenna moving across here, bing, hits something here and bounce back, bing, hits something here. And then this is actually a 3D compilation of all of the transects plugged together into one. So that's what we refer to as a 3D time slice.
How deep are these?
So as we can see here, these are roughly about 40 to 50 centimeters deep. Well, not 40, 50. These would be, I'll be able to tell you in a second.
so quick question on
Yeah.
the, tomb restoration, because I was questioning. They did something like this up in, I don't know if it was the North End or something. They opened them to do like restoration and stuff, and they had an archaeologist. Are you not
there's
opening
no,
them?
there's no opening.
No.
So these are rounded.
And how,
So the brick boxes that are on top
Mhm.
originally sat on top of the proposed brick that's underneath that's rounded. So we had a couple of stored last year and that company just built them on the ground above. We went with a different company this year. They actually dig down to that, and as long as it's intact, then they build on top of that and stabilize it
Gotcha.
and redo that box.
I was gonna say,
on
do
top.
we know who's in there?
Yes, they're all
They all
labeled.
have- Yeah,
Now, what about the popper
Wait,
side?
I want to just get the depth on that.
sure. I was actually going to get to that at the end of the presentation.
Okay,
if That's
all
okay.
right, good, then, sorry.
So you had a question about the possible poppers?
Yeah, I mean, is that, in terms of, I guess, looking at it, is that something that we should be thinking about marking off or thinking about to check if someone's there, or? I don't know, it seems kind of sad to leave people just unacknowledged in a field.
Well, I think that there are a couple of things. I mean, we don't know specifically whether these are slave or pauper burials. A lot of that is historic guesswork. One of the things we do know is that there was a major restoration of the graveyard sometime between 1859 and 1912, when
Mhm.
Bailey wrote her treatise on the history of Kingston. Something Jones wrote, I forget what it was. But we do know that at some point, the graves which had been placed wherever were laid out in neat rows, and they
Yes.
did not dig up.
A guy named Chandler did that.
That's right.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, the current area Veteran Cemetery was donated by a Lois B. Chandler, who I can only assume is a relative of, I think it was Edwin Chandler who did the restoration. Well, the restoration, basically, they moved all the headstones, but the burials were left exactly where they are.
Yes.
This is not an uncommon thing. It happened in the North Granary Burial Ground in Boston. It's
Mhm.
happened in almost every single New England
Sure.
graveyard. So we don't know that these are pauper burials. This could be debris from the construction of the tombs on the North Slope. It could be burials that were always there, but the tombstones were relocated. There could be any number of possibilities. All we can say there for sure without ground truthing is that there are anomalies in the soil in that.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, there
Like,
are-
can you do, I'm sorry, can
Yeah.
you do the ground truthing without having to dig up the whole area, like?
Well, that's what ground
That's what
truthing
it
is.
No, but I mean, like, I don't know, a core sample and you're like, hey,
Yeah.
we've got mahogany wood that appears to be a casket.
In general, core sampling of that size, so if you're talking about like a soil core or vibra core,
Like
it's
those
about
small-
this big around, it's about this
Yeah.
big around. That's generally considered destructive by the MHC. But if we're talking about something that's much smaller, like an
Yeah.
inch wide, like hand auger or soil probe, that's a possibility. The more common thing that we see to determine the presence of burials is a practice called rodding, where essentially there is a long metal or fiberglass pole that's literally only like this thick. It's very,
Mhm.
very small, like a centimeter around, and it's literally poked down to see if there's any resistance. Is there anything there that's not soft soil? Again, it doesn't tell you what's there, but it tells you it's something's there. So is that a possibility that we can look for future exploration of the burial ground? Absolutely. What I want the okay of the MHC to make sure that it doesn't go beyond. what would be
Oh,
considered
gotcha. I mean, I
reconnaissance survey.
definitely wouldn't
Absolutely.
advocate like bringing in a backhoe or anything.
No,
but it just
No,
seems
but
like,
even something like rotting or soil augering, I would at least want to check with the MHC
Yeah, of
to see
course.
if that, particularly since graveyards are sensitive areas and there are
'Cause it just seems
descendants of.
right, if we
individuals
know
like that.
that those are people, we could put up, I don't know, some ropes or a little
Right.
sign or something, just
Right.
acknowledging.
There is a card catalog in the clerk's office, Paul told me about, which supposedly has burials in the old burial ground, which I wasn't aware there was a separate catalog of that. Now, I have never looked into that. I mean, it takes time
Yeah.
to do that kind of thing, but that's something I think that we should get into in the next few years and see what that card catalog tells us. It may tell us, you know, where the burials are, and we may be able to determine people, because we have lists of people that lived in the poorhouse. So,
I
you
guess
know,
I'm just thinking since we know it's there, we've got the information, it's worth it so that, 50 years from now, someone doesn't, I don't know, decide to
I,
build a
I'd
playground.
also like to say that if this is something, that, that can be, not necessarily the rotting, but, not rotting, but rodding.
Mhm.
And the catalog of burials in the burial ground and cross-referencing of the poorhouse is possible. That's something that a student of mine could do as a directed study. They could go to Kingston and they could sit.
Yeah, we'll take a look,
Information.
take a look.
You know,
first of
that's
all.
a directed study or an honors thesis waiting to happen.
Mhm.
So, so if that's something that the commission
Yeah.
doesn't have the bandwidth for, I have free slave labor. I shouldn't joke about that, but
Right,
it's,
sure.
it's also a great opportunity for students to
That would be an
learn
interesting
about local
project
history.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, as a bit of an aside, and I think this is something that I mentioned when we did it in, spring 2023. I'm teaching my capstone public archaeology course this coming spring 2025. And the final project of that capstone course is for students to attend regular meetings of their local historical commission in their hometowns and to learn about the historic preservation archaeology needs of their towns and develop an application to the MHC with all the appropriate research based on those needs. If I have any students from Kingston or from the area of Kingston or students who are interested in working in Kingston, I can definitely send them to you to work on.
That'd be
that as
great.
well.
We have a lot of things going on,
Yeah.
a lot in town right now, coming up to the 300th, so.
That's right. And one thing I mentioned to Ken, and I'll also mention, I'm actually going to be on sabbatical in the spring and summer of 2026. So I'll have a lot more free time than I usually do. I'm going to be doing some professional development courses and certification in geographic information systems and ground penetrating radar, as well as drone work. But if there's because I have a little bit more free time, if there's anything that I can contribute to the 300th or the work that's going on for 2026, I'd love to be able to do so.
That'll be great.
So just to give you a heads up.
Congratulations. on this.
Yeah, that's great.
Not yet, I have to.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
I got promotion to associate professor, so that's good. I'm applying for tenure and sabbatical this September.
Oh, boy.
Whether I get it or not will be up to a whole lot of different layers of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Now, do you
So-
teach a graduate or is it an undergraduate?
I am certified to teach on the graduate level, and I've taught graduate courses before. We briefly had a graduate certificate in applied anthropology. So I mentored a project which combined Mayan archaeology and folklore with a student who was taking trips to Guatemala and Yucatan to do ethnographic work with Mayan populations there. But we've since ended our applied archaeology graduate certificate. But there is the possibility of students doing graduate level directed studies. So I am a certified member of the BSU graduate school. It's just our department currently doesn't.
I was just
offer
thinking,
it.
I had no idea we had archaeology in Bridgewater. I'm like, maybe I just need to go
As a
get
matter
a
of fact,
degree or
we
something.
have the only public archaeology degree in the state college system.
Yeah.
We'll take your pen away and give you a shovel. You can go back to school.
Oh, no, I
Yeah.
tried.
Well, I mean, the main thing, just sort of expanding, I know I'm taking up your time and I apologize. The one thing that I wanted to sort of emphasize in terms of the public archaeology program at Bridgewater State is we're looking to basically create and focus on a community needs-based public archaeology program. The idea that we have is based on the work of Nick Longo of the American College of Providence College and the American Association of Colleges and Universities, with the idea of creating professionals in our archaeology program that are called professionals on tap and not professionals on top. So the idea is to create students to serve as professionals in archaeology, which are there to serve communities and to be at the disposal of communities rather to run their own research projects as they see fit.
That's
So
very
it's-
cool.
That's sort of like the nature of public archaeology, at least as far as I'm concerned. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. I do want to talk about the results from grade 7.
Mhm.
This is very, very shallow. Again, at a relatively shallow depth, less than a meter. We did uncover faint anomalies that may indicate a cart path from Main Street. So there's a line of an anomaly, again, very shallow, fairly wide rectangle moving in this direction, where it hooks up with another going in this direction in the general way towards the townhouse. So this moves directly to the current entrance to the west of the First Parish Meeting House. And then this anomaly moves directly towards the Kingston Townhouse.
So where would Main Street be exactly?
Main
Where's
Street,
it run?
Main Street would be, so this is the northwest corner of Meeting House.
Yeah.
This right here, so this is the interesting thing. You see where this anomaly is here?
Yeah.
Where this anomaly ends on this eastern edge, this is, because the Meeting House actually is not a straight rectangle. It's sort of, you've got the main nave, which curves, and then you've got sort of, again, almost the cross-like shape.
Yeah.
So if we were to look at the corner of the Meeting House, it would go basically from here along this line.
So that's Main Street.
So this is the Meeting House. This is the edge, the western side of the Meeting House.
Okay.
Goes from here to here and then extends to the edge of where the cart path is and then down this way. So this cart path that continued would be right up against the western edge of the Meeting House.
And that's where it would be expected.
And that's where it would be expected to be. We also found possible anomalies here. And here you can see a very, very clear one across here. I marked these in different colors to mark what the different anomalies may have been or conjecture that they were based on what we know. Here and here in this direction. And then there appears to be a square-like anomaly here. So
Any structures?
one is
Any structures you see?
nothing in terms of structures, but what we think that these may have been would have been foundations to structures.
Okay, there was an animal pound located near the church to the west of the building. So I don't know if that.
That may be what this is. So there may not be a porte cochere or overhangs could have been that animal pound that you were talking about. But we do have an indication of what we think is the cart path and a continuation directly
Yeah,
along. the
great,
western
yeah,
edge
that's wonderful.
towards Main Street.
That's.
What do you conjecture the angled line is? Foundation of some other structure before the church was built?
Again, without ground truthing, we don't know. It's possible that it could have been some sort of overhang or gate of some kind, where there could have been an entrance at that northwest corner. Or it's entirely possible that that could have been the animal pound that Tom was just talking about as well. But again, without ground truthing that area, there's no way to know. Now it's possible that ground truthing might be in the cards because if we take a look at the plan from Martha Lyons Landscape Architecture to create the loop path around the First Parish Church for the entryway, it runs literally directly through where you can see this is basically the 3D time slice right here. This is the grid as we have it. It runs directly through the middle of where, I mean, you can see here where it lines up, the blue that would have been the cart path going straight to Main Street right here, basically lines up exactly where that loop path is right there. And then this here is would have been.
Right, and that's exactly expected. The pound, I believe, was down here somewhere. And there were whipping posts. There was a whipping post also, so I don't know if that would ever show up.
Yeah.
But the meeting house would have been a little further down towards the street, a little.
Yeah.
You know,
Tom, where was the whipping post?
What was it for?
No, where was it?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
It was
I imagine it would have
near the
been
church.
on Main Street.
I would imagine it would have been, I mean, just basing on historical precedent from other towns, if it probably would have been at the training.
Yeah, could have been right further up, but it
Yeah.
was along Main
Along
Street.
Main Street. Yeah,
And there was also a town post where posting was done. And and that supposedly is up near the green also.
Right.
I don't think they ever used the whipping post. I mean, I've seen no
Oh,
record.
sure, come on.
So,
except when you came to town.
That's right.
so what I wanted to do, just to sort of finish up, because again, I don't want to take up all of your time. I know I'm a very verbose individual, especially when it comes to archaeology.
Oh, but it's so interesting.
No, I was gonna say, I don't think we've helped,
Yeah.
or at least I
No.
haven't.
I am, yeah, once I start talking about archaeology, it's hard for me to stop. It's a problem. I'm talking with my therapist about it. We'll figure it out. But what I did want to show you, second, is if I can share it. I have a latest version, no. Why aren't you looking? There we go. So I'm going to share my screen again. So this is RADN 7. This is the ground penetrating radar software that's used for post-processing from Geophysical Survey Systems, Inc. in Nashua, New Hampshire. So what I wanted to do, because you had asked about depth, Craig, is I wanted to be able to show you the actual 3D time slice and what the depth was. Now, what was the grid that you wanted to ask about the depth for?
It was. It was the one long strip up by
Seven
log
with the
streams.
tombs.
Right,
Okay, that was the that would be grid 1. So
No, that's the one on the poppers.
I thought it was 7.
oh,
Yeah, I
and
think
the
it was
other-
seven.
the other
Next
one
to the
along the
church.
box tombs, yeah.
Yes.
So that I think would actually, that would be, was it grid 7? Let me see.
Think
Oh,
so.
7, the one you just showed us.
Let me see.
Yeah, 7 was showing.
Nope, this is
Possible
the,
card path.
yeah, no, I switched them because what we thought was, we did them out of order. Like we did the
Yeah.
area wrong, so, I basically, this is grid 7, it's actually grid 6.
That's the one.
So this is the one right here. So what you can see here, if I'm sort
Yeah.
of sharing it, this right here, I'm gonna move this down here, so it's out of the way. This is the one of the regular, things, and this is the time slice here. So if I go to 3D view, go to 3D volume options, I can manipulate this however you see fit. And I can even show it, going up and down. This is up and down. Let me zoom in a little bit.
That only does the one slice though, huh?
No, it does not. So I
So this
can,
is multiple slices right there.
yes. So this one right here is a 3D view of multiple slices. So for example, come back to the original view here. I'm sorry, I'm running out of juice here. My
Uh-oh.
computer just went. Come on, behave. All right. So one of the things I can do is I can change the depth. So this is the depth as it existed at like 0 at surface level. And then this is 10 centimeters below surface level, 21 centimeters below surface level. And this is 31.67 centimeters below surface level. You can see the entrances begin to show up. You can see a little bit of a tree root over here from one of the tree stumps that's located in that direction. And then here we can see it approximately 42 centimeters. We can see where we were before. And then they begin to disappear by the time we get down to about 60 centimeters below. So they're all relatively close to the surface.
And this is handy here, because it wasn't on the other one, so that's what I was.
Yeah.
Getting it, you can read it right off too. So that's the best you can do, is put that together to get a 3D picture is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's essentially how it looks. I can
Yeah.
show it, show you on a larger
Good.
grid if I go to grid 1. Let's see. So with grid 1, as you can see, as it gets really, really deep, the signal degrades quite a bit. So it's actually not the best depth. But we can see here, like some of the surface stuff, the tree roots, etc. And then as we begin to move further down, we can see anomalies begin to show up as early as depth of 50 centimeters, going down to 62 centimeters, and so forth. This is not as clear as the final file that I showed you there. And then this is about 1 meter deep. And then moving down here. So you can see some of these are fairly deep. So if we go down to like 187.2 centimeters and then 2 meters, this is when we start to see what we'd expect to be about 6 feet deep. But again, can we rely on these depths because it's a slope and we haven't done surface normalization? I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
But being able to actually see the anomalies appear and disappear as we move through them is very interesting.
So do you have, what about, like 40 centimeters down? You put that up?
Just 40 centimeters down?
Yeah,
Is this for grid 1, right?
yes, yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking construction debris, rocks, we found at our house, a lot of it, granite blocks and everything else. And they were down, not much more than a foot. They were under the sod and they weren't very deep.
So yeah, this is, as you can see, not much appearing at about 40 centimeters deep.
Mhm.
And then we begin to see these anomalies appear over here.
What's that?
That's about 55 centimeters, so about half a meter.
How big is it? So see the two like
Mhm.
darker sides, like is
Like over here.
like the two dark ends, I mean, is that like two sides of a tomb? Or is that like
It's the light
each
blue
one of
that's
those, I
the-
guess?
Yeah.
How big is whatever this void is?
All right, can you show me the void on the,
I guess.
you're referring to?
Yeah, so you see how you can sort of see it looks like it's a square, but
Right,
it's like, would that be a casket or
yeah,
void? That would be one that would like, how
it's entirely
big is
possible.
whatever we're looking at?
Okay, it's entirely possible that those may be caskets, and so they would be very, very shallow. It's only 55 centimeters deep. To give you an
But I guess
idea-
looking at it.
Yes.
So right
She's
now. you
wondering,
can
like, how long
almost
they are.
Make
Right.
out like,
So what we can
A
do is we can
hole.
measure based on this. So these were 10-meter transects going this direction. This is 10 meters on this side.
Huh.
This is a total of 35 meters going in this direction. So if we take a look, if we sort of
what does that
extrapolate
translate into?
what that translates into, that would be about 4 or 5 meters. So that would be a little larger than,
That feet?
in terms of feet, a meter is about 3 feet. So I'd say that would be about 10 to 15 feet, which would be way too big.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty big.
But again, that's at a relatively shallow depth of, yeah, one of the things you can tell, this is one of the reasons why the analysis took so long, is because there's so much tweaking and changing. So to be able to get the data we want for interpretation.
Yeah.
Another big part of that is typically when you're doing cemetery work to get a better resolution, you do transects every 25 centimeters. But the area that we did was so large, that area we were doing was so large that it was just, would have been impossible to do in the 3 days that we had to do 25 centimeter transects. We would have been there for 2 weeks, a month to be able to do that, which was frankly just not feasible given the schedule. Now, can we do smaller areas at 25 centimeter transects, one at a time, at any time anybody wants us to? Absolutely. And like I said, one of the things I'm looking to do during my sabbatical is to do additional ground penetrating radar certification to hone my skills. The training that I did do with GSSI was mostly during the pandemic, so it was done remotely. So again, even though I have the certification, it wasn't as effective as I would have liked it to have been. So now that it's post-pandemic, once I have the sabbatical and have the time, I'm gonna be able to go up to Nashua, New Hampshire and do a series of 3-day workshops to be able to get that.
Oh, that's very cool.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And
Including
does
their
it, so
advanced
does the
archaeology.
university own the
Yes.
radar?
Yes, this was actually paid for through an NSF grant, a National Science Foundation grant that I'm a co-principal investigator for. And we got a internal grant to pay for the 400 megahertz antenna. We also have a 270 megahertz antenna, which is usually used for like deeper geological work. So determining things like deeper soil layers, things like that.
That's very cool.
In general, one of the things with ground penetrating radar is the higher the frequency of the radar antenna, the greater resolution, but the less the depth is. So something like a 1000 plus megahertz antenna, that's going to be used for construction where you're only going like a foot or so into a concrete wall to see if there's rebar in there, and then map that out. Whereas if you go down to like the 2-digit level or like down below 200 megahertz antennas, those are the ones that are used in like glaciers and stuff like that to look at different layers of glaciers in Antarctica or something.
Right.
But I think that's about it. I'm almost out of battery life unless anybody has further questions.
Well, I'm very impressed, Michael. I really
Yeah,
am.
this is really
a
cool.
wonderful
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you very much. You
Yeah.
certainly don't have to be impressed. I thrive on negative criticism, so feel free to tell me that I got something wrong.
But this is fun, though. This is really great. I
Yeah.
love it.
It's interesting.
In terms of recommendation for further work, like I said, if you want me to do any further work along what we think is the northern boundary of that burial ground, to see if there's any traces of the Powder House foundations, that's something we could do.
Mhm.
If you want a more detailed scan of that area directly to the west of the northern slope tombs, so we can get a little bit more detail on that. That's something we can do, go back and do a much smaller area in 25 centimeter transects. If you want us to do, to try to map out the entire, not necessarily map out, but spot check the entire historic cart path, so we can map that,
Yeah.
that's something that we can do as well.
Well, here's something else. A couple of years ago, you mentioned checking the green west of the wall, just along there, just to see if there were burials in there. We don't really know.
Yeah.
So that may make for an interesting study, just along the wall.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
Or
I
if
don't
there
know,
was, or if there were buried structures that might have contained foundations,
Yes,
like
yeah.
the Powder House
Yeah.
or Whipping Post or anything else that may have been located on the Strange
Right.
Green.
I understand there were sheds there
Yeah.
kept for horses or wagons or something.
That
when
makes
you
a
go to
great deal of
church.
sense, because if memory serves, I believe there were hitching rings on the
Yes, right.
granite block wall.
Right, and that would be to the south wall, right? There are rings there, but along the wall to the east, they say there were sheds there at one time.
On
So,
the green.
well, it would have to be on the green, or maybe it was before the wall was there even,
Yeah.
but there were supposedly sheds there, you know.
Yeah.
To keep horses or wagons or something, I don't know, during church.
Hard
services.
times.
Yeah.
Well, we'll come up with something for you, Michael.
Oh, we
Sure.
will.
Yeah, we have a lot
This is really great.
I want to, yeah, I know that I'm since doing our summer archaeological film school in New Bedford, and I've been able to develop great relationships with the Historic Commission and folks down there. But at the same time, I'd love to maintain the relationship with the town of Kingston, which has been very beneficial, particularly for my students. I'd like to say, while you're saying all these nice things about the work I've done,
Oh, sure.
it wouldn't have been possible without either Christine Brandon from Geological Sciences, who's also worked on this project, as well as my students who are offered the acknowledgements as well. My students did all the hard work of pushing the cart around while I ordered them around. So feel free to give them all the
Yeah.
credits.
If you need anything from us too, I imagine, I know you're going for tenure and so on. I don't know if any positive comments for us, from us would make any difference, or whether this is entirely academic thing.
We usually send them a letter.
Yeah, and which has been first incredibly kind of you and
Yeah.
totally unexpected, by
Yeah.
the way. I greatly
Well, you do
appreciate
great
that.
work. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I greatly appreciate that. I think I'll be fine.
I hope so.
But it always helps, and you know, in general, it's just nice developing
Yeah.
these relationships with local communities in southeastern Massachusetts, because really, and in my public archaeology class, especially being with their hometown historical commissions.
Yeah.
Being able to get young people involved in local government, particularly as it pertains to historic preservation, archaeology, is something that I feel is really, really
Oh, yeah.
key to our program.
All right. Well,
Thank you so
for
much.
coming tonight.
I'll say you're busy
Thanks
enough,
a lot.
but in the future too, if you're interested in going back to that property that you did a few of the Native American surveys on there. I believe that property has either been sold or is being sold, so there may be an option to get back there in the future.
You mean
Possibly,
the one on Spring Street?
yeah, the Spring Street may be a possibility. Unfortunately, the homeowners, the Bronx, as you know, have since
It's the,
passed.
yeah, the property's either being sold or has been sold, so there may be new homeowners now.
It's entirely possible. I think if I were to do that, because they're, I don't know how confidential this is, so I don't want to share any
Yes.
confidential information in a public meeting. But there were.
Because
some-
it isn't, it's recorded
Yeah, it's
and
recorded.
available by TV.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I don't want to say anything except to say that there are possible sensitive
Sensitive area.
room
Yes,
areas there.
exactly.
So if that were to be the case, I would want to go in with full consultation and collaboration with tribal authorities from the Mashpee for the wall.
Mhm.
So that would be a prerequisite to any work.
Right? Okay.
Well, thank
Thank you
for
so much.
coming out.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
having
so
me.
much.
Hope we see you again soon.
Yep.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so too. It's always a pleasure. And again, if there's anything that I can do in preparation for the 300th anniversary in 2026.
Oh, there will be.
I'm happy to oblige and, it's such a pleasure working with such an active historical commission as well. There are a lot of historical commissions in Massachusetts that aren't quite as dedicated.
Do you have any photographs by any chance of you and your students working in Kingston?
We do.
Could you possibly send some to us? Because that would be kind of an interesting little thing in our book that we've done some research. I don't know,
Absolutely.
something to think about.
Yeah,
You
if you can
could
just
throw
send
some
me
up on our
send me a
website,
reminder
too.
email.
Yeah.
Yeah, send me a reminder email about that, because I may forget that we talked about it.
Yeah.
But I'll be more than happy to do that.
Thank you.
Actually, that'd be an interesting chapter to talk about all the different surveys that you all have done and.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know you guys have done a lot of work that you're one of the few, I believe this is
Sure,
my
yes.
copy, yeah. I believe that you're one of the few towns that has done a comprehensive reconnaissance survey of the entire town too, which is very valuable. My students are always looking for GIS projects as well. So I know my students helped out on one of the GIS inventories.
Yes,
So
yeah.
if there are any further GIS projects, my students are always looking for something to work on.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Just giving you a heads up, because my students are required to take Intro to GIS and they have to do a project associated with it. So they're always coming to me, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, what's a good archaeology project? So mine is always look for your local communities and see if you can do to help them there. So if you guys are interested. I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one, everybody.
Craig,
Thank
did you
you.
get one of these?
Thanks, Mike.
Did you get one of these?
There's two of them.
There are two of them.
Yeah, you guys can take a look at them.
All right, great. And because I'd like to take some photocopies actually for the church, because there's so much about the church here that it would be good for the archive. So, yeah, I can easily make photocopies at church. Boy, that was very interesting.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so cool.
Oh, my
Right,
goodness.
so that's.
I'm super jealous he has Brampton. I would be walking that thing all over the place.
Well, we
It's so
tried hard,
fascinating what they
remember,
can do.
Yeah, over there at the Bradford House, they were trying to get that area checked out. God, what's his name? He was here, moved to Tulsa, passed away last year. Jack. Jack was so involved in trying to get that area checked out for the basis of the original house.
Yeah.
And to get the equipment, it's tough, but now we got the equipment.
Yeah, well, there supposedly was a stockade around the original house. Wouldn't it be interesting to find the perimeter of the stockade?
Mhm.
Yeah, really, it's so cool.
Yeah.
That could be done.
Oh, dear. Okay. onward and upward then. Couple of minutes. Ken, did you get that email I sent you today about the minutes, the February minutes?
Yeah,
I didn't know, the February minutes are sent out. You guys can look at them. Are these the ones that, then, did you take these then?
Yeah, I had a couple notes in for questions.
I don't know if we got that. Did you have a chance to see if it was on PAC TV? The February one?
no,
Just so we could fill in that information. You know, there's,
Oh, I can do that.
well, I don't know if you know it, but,
No, but if the meeting's on, I can go get it.
Oh.
I didn't know where the recording was.
yeah, I don't know if we were, one night we didn't record something, I forget by mistake. But I don't think it was this one. This is when the Veterans Committee came.
Yeah,
So there were a bunch, just about the names of people there, the times, the things were done and,
yeah, it's on PAC TV.
it may be, so
Okay.
we can check that out.
Yeah.
So why don't we hold off on February anyways? We'll hold off on this one. I'll give you
Yeah,
that.
because that was the information that wasn't clear on my notes. Like I knew, but I don't think they actually
Did we
went
take names?
through
We
and
took
paid
names
their
of people
individual
here, didn't
names.
I
So
believe we did, yes. I
We
think
have a
everyone
list?
said their name.
we? Said it,
I believe we had everyone say their name, but I'm not 100%
well,
positive.
if it's on the,
I'll look.
do you remember who was here? We
Um,
know,
most of them,
what's her name was here?
Linda,
uh,
Bob Ketter, Dave, of course, was here as part of us, and then there was another gentleman, I don't know his name.
um, and when they came last fall, I remember, well, actually, asked them to write down their addresses, because we
You know,
sometimes, well, we do that for guests. Bob Ketter, Bob King,
maybe
Jim
that's,
Gallagher was one.
but maybe it was, Mr. Gallagher, and that's the one I didn't
That was
recognize.
in November, December, yeah,
Yeah.
That's not from that February.
No, but just-
Yeah.
because I wasn't at the meeting last.
Okay, so we'll hold off on that one. The May one sent out, this was our last one, right? Yeah. Any comments? There's a typo on line 13.
Oh, yeah. Burying ground,
Above
site,
it, Sylvia
yeah.
Pond site.
Yeah, the site, yeah.
sure.
Okay, okay.
Didn't we have, oh God, Cobb, what's his first name?
Bob Cobb, no, Peter Cobb.
Peter Cobb, he was here, wasn't he?
Earlier, I think it was.
Oh, was that before the meeting started?
I think it was the one before.
Oh, the
that.
month before, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Guidance. Okay, anything about this one that we have to correct or any comments, questions?
No.
All right, motion to approve these with that one typo. 13.
I make a motion to approve
I will
with the
second that.
typo.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Okay. Bills, okay, we have some bills. Been trying to spend some money the last of our budget year here. And, actually went down, been working for like a week on getting that book printed up, this thing, arranging it, our new one with our new surveys in it, with the color page.
Oh, yeah, wow, yeah.
It's been a lot of work.
How much
It's
did
a
that
lot of-
baby cost?
Well,
That must be expensive.
the guy just reminded me tonight, the damn maps, I didn't put the maps in.
Oh.
So I'm gonna see if I can stop the presses and put the maps in, or at least put them in on the back or something.
Can that be put onto like a flash drive? I mean, so it wouldn't have to be printed up? I'd love a flash
Well,
drive.
we're gonna print them out, but we're gonna have flash drive copies
Oh,
too.
great, yeah.
Yep, but, so anyways, those have been sent to the printers yesterday, but now I say I better try to stop her tomorrow. So I get the maps in there, that, you know, you met, Bridgewater State did. They're gonna be like 100, it's 2 volumes. Okay,
Wow.
And one will be like 200 pages, another one will be a little bit more than that.
That's
It's
great.
gonna be a total for 6 copies, one going to MHC, one to the library, one to the archivist. And 3 for us. And that'll be, it's gonna be $660. But we've got 5,500 in that account. The last of this survey money that we're gonna use for that.
Good. Great.
So, hopefully we'll get those maps and that'll be done. But that's not the bill to pay tonight. I didn't know if you had anything, how are they billing us from the,
I haven't gotten anything yet.
how are they
I
supposed
did-
to be billing it, you know?
I haven't, I'm not quite sure yet if he's gonna give us a bill at the end. I know if, I did ask him today if he would give us a quote on that final tune. So we could see if we have money for that.
Yeah,
But then I also need to find out, since they did find that Pratt stone, and it was underground damage, so see if there's gonna be more money associated with fixing that one too.
and they mentioned too about that too, because they may have applied to MHC. for a
They
permit.
may already, like, they've worked in Burial Hill and other places, so I do wanna ask them if they did it that
Yeah, I
already.
would check on that
That,
tomorrow. so we
that's,
don't
yeah, that's
get
why
that.
I couldn't answer it, that a definite no, they may have already done that.
Yeah. Okay, so I realized we hadn't gotten billed from NAPC, the National Association for Preservation Commissions. We always, they usually send a notice saying, oh, you need to pay. And I realized ours expires the end of the month here. So I renewed that today. It's $100 for our commission town size of 5,000 to 50,000. And so I renewed that today. That's one of the things we're gonna get reimbursement on tonight. The other one was I went to the post office and bought some high-end and regular postage for future use. We mail these things that go into MHC. I can't use the meter here on those. And if we have some certified return receipt stuff. So I got a bunch of $2 stamps, $1 stamps, then a couple booklets of stamps that we'll keep in the file here, the mailing file, and be able to use in the future. And this will come under this year's budget. So we've used up this much budget. Now it was 7720. I've got a record sheet here where that goes. So we need to have a motion to reimburse Craig Dalton for those 2 bills, the National Alliance Preservation Commission renewal and the postage,
And
for a total of $177.20.
I move that we reimburse Craig Dalton $177.20 for the postage and for the, help me please,
National.
Yeah, the,
NAPC
right,
renewal.
membership renewal. Yep.
Second,
Any comments? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Right. Okay, so you'll need to sign on the line, one of those lines there. I was thinking about those maps too, and then I just gotta get this done, I gotta get this done.
Thank you.
Okay.
it's actually a great little presentation. You might be able to transfer it straight into the book. He did a great job of writing up the little introduction to the history
You
of
just
the
need the
areas.
three?
and stuff.
No, we're good.
get all of them.
And it's all already cited.
All right, well, we did the mail, Francis Zimmerman. We did have thank you, we did have a, issue on our demolition delay. Okay, and, came up, remember our last meeting, we were talking about that barn
Mhm.
that disappeared, and it seemed like it was earlier than it should have. I checked into it, and it had been approved for demolition before the 45 days were up for us. And our normal demolition delay bylaw allows for us to have 45 days to determine if it should be preserved or whatever. And so I talked to the building inspector a couple times about it, because normally that was the process we've used since the inception of this thing.
Mhm.
Was that someone comes in, wants a demo permit, they go to the building inspector gives it to us. When we get it, he's got to give it to us within 7 days. And we have 45 days to determine whether we want to have a hearing, whether it should be preserved or not. And then we go, if we wanted, we think it's historically significant, then we go ahead to the hearing process, and we have so many months, so much time, I forget what it is now, to determine if it should be preserved, preferably preserved. And then we can put on a demolition delay onto that time.
Mhm.
No problem, it's worked fine. This time, now he's saying that he can't hold a demolition delay permit. State law says, not a demolition delay permit, he can't hold a demolition permit up for us. State says they have to approve it within 30 days or deny. And he says, well, that's not how it's gonna work with the town bylaws, you know, our general bylaws say that's how it's supposed to work, we got 45 days to determine it. Says, well, the state takes precedent over the town bylaws. So, which is kind of weird. And the language in here doesn't comply with what he's doing, basically, because, you know, he's not supposed to issue a permit if the thing's supposed to be preserved. But here, the permit could have been issued way before we have a hearing or whatever else is gonna be done. So he's alerting to us to any demos that come up. And we can let him know if there's a problem, but I mean, we don't meet that often to let him know within 30 days of when something comes up.
Mhm.
He can point out to the people that there's a town bylaw that says you have to be cleared by the historical commission for anything being demolished. But we can't use that permit as a hang over someone's head that they follow this procedure or this bylaw. So, I mean, we can kind of cover ourselves that way, but this doesn't jive with what's going on. The bylaw was written, and I guess it contradicts the state law, which he
So
says
can we
takes
just, if
precedent.
he notifies us, can we just automatically put a delay
No,
and then research and,
no, we can't. We have to.
so can we
look at
just
it.
say no?
If he tells us like this property, down
Yeah.
here in Holland's Lane, that came up again. Someone else bought it. I talked to the owner, they called me up. And, it's a house we approved for demolition a year or so ago when they were gonna build all those places behind it. We had the archaeological
There's a
survey
story
down
there,
there. Apparently, they've given up on that project.
Mhm.
Now they're gonna build like 4 or 5 homes in it. And this guy bought the one where the house is on that block. So we're talking about it, and I told him it's not gonna be an issue with that. We approved it before, we did the survey. There shouldn't be any problem at all. And I says, if you want a letter from it, we have to hold a meeting and talk about it, and issue a letter saying that, you know, if you want that type of approval. But it's not worth it for us. So if we get something like that come up and the building inspector says, hey, look, the house right down the street here, they're gonna tear it down, whatever. And we say no, he's still got it. If everything's kosher with him for his permitting process, he's still gotta let them have the permit. He can tell them, hey, you're gonna follow these bylaw here, town's bylaw, which goes.
So
to
what's the
historic
state of
commission.
Mass's rule about exploring whether or not it's historical?
I don't think they have anything to do with historical, the permit that we get, the demolition permit, which is right here. This is the one for, Holland's Lane, 48 Holland's Lane.
Mhm.
There's nothing on there about historical. And, it really doesn't have much to do. We tied it together with our bylaw so that we'd have a way to know when it comes to have something that keep people honest as far as destroying demolition of property.
Well, under the bylaw, what's the recourse from us if we say, no, that's historical? Is there anything binding, or can they still just tear it down?
This is our bylaw, right? And when we say no, what do you mean? When
Like,
we go
if we
through
say,
the full process?
if we say, no, this house is, this gentleman was a historic person, he owned it, so you can't tear it down. is there any,
Process.
but is there any legal recourse that we have to make sure they don't tear it down, or can they just
So
say,
the
no, we're just
fact
gonna tear it
that-
down anyway?
It's 84 years old. We have an age limit,
Yes, it's 80 years. Mhm.
80.
Um,
We don't have anything binding, but we can
this,
try to work with.
his
them.
non-compliance, Article 6 of our thing here. Anyone who demolishes a building or structure identified in Article 3 of this bylaw without first obtaining and complying fully with the provisions of a demolition permit shall be subject to a fine of not more than $300 for each day, not to exceed 60 days. Okay, upon, in which such person was not in compliance with the provisions of the demolition permit. See, it's a demolition
But
permit,
that's null and void if he issues the permit.
kind of,
Yeah.
right? Upon a determination by the Kingston Historical Commission that a building or structure is a preferred significant building or structure, the owner shall be responsible for properly securing the building or structure. All that. So that was our only
Okay.
recourse, monetary recourse, so fines, if they tear something down. So I don't know. I mean, I think I'm gonna talk to the town's attorney, and see what story is, because this bylaw that we drafted, the demolition delay bylaw, was based off of a common format. And I think other historical
Well,
commissions are doing the
I would
same
like
way.
the legal opinion too, because some bylaws supersede state law. So what,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it says that non-compliance thing is tied to the permit. If he's
Mhm.
got a permit.
and
Right, what's the state's 30-day? I mean, so. The building inspector has 30 days to decide whether
whether he
demolition
should-
permit needs
Yeah.
to be applied.
He
for,
told
or-
me he's here to service people.
Yeah.
And not to hold them up. And
Ah,
he's wants
well,
to get it out
that's
of
with any of the permits, electrical permits, plumbing, like you can't hold, there's time limits, and if it doesn't get addressed, those time limits, they can't be stopped because that hasn't been inspected or addressed yet.
there. Mhm.
The people have the right to move forward. So I'm assuming
No.
that 30 days part of that.
I understand that. But
Yeah.
That's why we're
No,
400 cars deep in the stop sign.
So I don't know
11
what we
a.m.
do with him.
Have to talk to the lawyer and find out about it.
Yeah, I mean, this thing is not written properly then.
Is that the Kingston bylaw?
It's right offline. You can have it if you want.
Okay.
You know
yes,
when that was
please.
adopted?
Yeah, town meeting, May 6, 2000.
Okay.
Article 42. It's right, if you go on the website, the bylaws, general bylaws, it's chapter 21.
That's fine. This is what I do, so I'll take a swing at this and get back to you.
Okay, but it's time, you have to find out if it can take precedent over that.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's typically when the rule comes in, it will specifically say whether you can do something different or whether this holds true against anything.
Mhm.
And there's the state and the towns make different agreements about what those are.
Yes.
So it's absent a town law, the state one will apply so that there is a law. But if you do bother to pass your own, then you can have yours. So then some of them are like the states are, this is how we're doing it broadly. We don't want you guys making things
Mhm.
different.
Mhm.
So
So
I'll
you're
just
gonna
take a
look
look
at that?
at it. Yep. I'm gonna do it when
Okay.
I go home tonight. 'Cause that's really
All right,
interesting.
all right. Ken's indicated he needs some relief,
Oh, just,
temporary relief while the book's being put out. Everybody's working really hard on the book.
just thinking
And-
ahead for the secretary position. At some point, months ahead, winter or whatever. And I just thinking also a fresh pair of eyes,
Here we
Yeah.
go,
you know, like.
fresh
when
pair of
did-
eyes,
That's what I
did
said,
burn
new
notes.
members.
fresh.
And then it's healthy to have different people, reporting
Yeah.
on that, but whatever, just.
I thought my notes were really good until I
Oh,
like
great.
had to put them into the formal write-up, and I'm like, I didn't write down anyone's name.
Well, then you'll.
You
get
know,
to
you find
If
that,
we're lucky.
But that's fine.
It's on TV.
I mean, it just, Lord Patrick Brown, when I came on, and he's a true historian, he just had to be really, really good with his notes. I probably do too much. But so
I don't
short,
think
short is
so,
better.
because you know what, people 150 years from now will appreciate that. You know, when you go back and look and see whatever it was happened.
I hope there are people around. All right. One thing we did receive in the mail, and I want to go on to, 30 Smith's Lane, ZBA at the bottom. The ZBA's been sending us this stuff.
What is
They let
this?
us know about it's a request from the zoning board
Mhm.
appeals, for us to review this and see if it's anything historical that we want to,
What are they trying
say
to do?
about. That's what we're gonna talk about. So this petition, we're gonna close in on 30 Smith's Lane. We know
I
what
was just
it
saying, I'm
is.
very interested because it's like right next door,
Really? What do you live?
Crescent Street.
Oh, they want to close in this, entryway. Yeah, make it a
Okay.
interior space. And so,
Just that entryway?
yeah, it's that entryway.
Okay.
Everything else seems to be the same.
So what's the problem? I mean, what's the issue?
Well, it's a house that's over 80 years old, probably, right?
Oh, yeah.
And,
This is the 4/4 style favored by our old neighborhood.
yeah. They got
Probably early,
downstairs.
most of them are right around 1900.
So I don't know, can we look up Macris on I'm just gonna check. I didn't have a chance to do it, see if we have a form on this house. Might be able to find it right here. But so they're looking to see, well, do you have anything to say about it? Usually, you know, if it doesn't permanently alter the structure, if the structure is important to keep there, it wouldn't raise any alarm bells. But uh, so they're letting us know what's going on in this. Certainly doesn't get affected archaeologically, right? I usually have this thing on my home computer. I have a tab for it. There we go. Macros database. Let's just see if there's any, if they've
Yeah, it's
got a
already-
form on it.
It may be quite attractive, actually.
No, but that's already a foundation, right? That's not open.
Does that look like a foundation? It
Is that
looked open
brick?
to me.
Is it open or is it brick?
It's
30,
brick,
right?
yeah.
30 Smith's Lane.
It is, I don't know if it's brick, but it's, right, it's
Right.
not open. It looked open to
Yeah,
me.
so
But
they're
it
not
is not
changing
open.
the
It's already-
footprint or
yeah.
anything,
Mm-mm.
yeah.
They're just moving the stairs.
Yep.
And enclosing it.
I don't see any issue.
No issue.
You guys are all set.
That's where John Gray lived. You can't do it.
I was like, I want to do the same thing to my house and I'll be applying for a permit in the next couple of weeks. We'll be
What,
looking
you're
at
gonna
my
do the
plan.
same thing?
Yeah, I need to repair my front porch. It's, the tree came down and took it down and the roof needs replacing and all that. So I thought I would try and screen it in so I can sit out there and enjoy
That would
it.
be very nice.
Yeah, because it's lovely out there. The problem is there's so many trees and everything. It's really buggy.
Yeah, sure. And it's only gonna get buggier as it gets warmer.
I know. This year's awful.
It is.
I've already pulled like 3 ticks off of me and I don't
Yep.
go anywhere.
Watch out for poison ivy. I had it all over me. And I'm still on prednisone, so I walk around like this.
Oh,
Well, it doesn't come up. So they may not have it on there. Nothing on there. So then, Do you think a lot of these already enclosed?
It-
Mhm.
Yeah.
Some of them are, some of them aren't, as I remember on the street.
Mhm.
I think a couple on the other side of the street are.
Mhm.
Do we know when? You think, how old do you think it is?
I think like Lynn said, around the turn of the last century. The house I lived on in Smith Lane was the oldest one on the street, and that was the late 1800s. So,
Yeah, I was gonna
Anything-
say, I think all of them are listed on the plot plans and everything at 1900.
yeah,
Mhm.
But I don't think that I think that was like a best guesstimation when we wanted to come up with a record.
Mhm.
Because based on what I saw, at least, it looked like the lands had been developed and the house had been built probably in like 1898-ish.
Okay. See
So,
here, you got special permits needed. Something like that, you're doing.
non-conforming structure,
Hmm.
yeah. It's too small for the code at present.
I don't know what they're gonna do inside there, it's a tiny room,
Make a mud, I think what they wanna do
yeah,
is put like a door and steps over here and make it like a.
Yeah, that's
mudroom.
right over, see,
yeah, they're gonna have, where's that?
I think it's
Yeah.
gonna be nice,
Yeah,
yeah. What is it, 6 by 12? It'll be small.
Hmm.
Maybe
All right.
with screened-in porch or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
so we don't have any problem with that.
I'm
So,
gonna
I
put a
don't. I think
bedroom,
it's
a
great.
bathroom and rent it. Airbnb.
Ken, we're gonna be leaving, so, can you just send the CPA a note about that,
Yeah.
saying we don't have any objection to it? Thanks. All right, do you want to talk about the Civil War quickly? We're getting
Sure.
late, but-
yes. So they've already started the work. Many of the Civil War graves have been restored, reset, and cleaned. They did the missing one, Pratt, correct?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
beautiful.
Pratt has been found. It was definitely underneath. They dug it out, they've cleaned it, and then they've reset it. So I think there's a little bit more work to patch the crack that's in it.
They put like these, what are they, called?
The
Posts,
posts, yeah.
really cool.
So that's all, that's good. I think when I was over there yesterday, there was 2 or 3 more that needed to be done. And then they'll be moving over to the box tombs. But also, I will touch on this because I did get a call from them, but I did notice it yesterday. I did show up, and then I want to say it was mid-morning. And 2 down from the Pratt grave, I found this brand new damage. This one has been knocked down. There was,
Is that a Civil War?
it's not a Civil War one, but it's 2 down from that. They called me this morning and said when they had left the day before, everything was standing. When they got there this morning, they found this damaged. I did notice that there were mowers there and a trailer. And then when I left and was driving away and I saw the town coming back, some of the town employees, I don't know if they damaged it at all. I haven't had a chance to go down and talk to Paul Basler. But I would like to inquire and see if they may have hit it by accident. And if so, if there is any money from them to have it
Yeah,
fixed.
good idea.
Who does it? They're always complaining about the mowers in the cemeteries over there. Who's on that contract, or is that taken care of by the town?
So the old burial is the town. Everything else is a private company.
Gotcha.
And they use these sit-down mowers. So, one little mistake of control and boom, they
And
go over.
and if these aren't pinned and all the old adhesive they had, it can easily knock over. I understand it. I definitely don't want to blame anybody, but.
Yeah.
um,
It's an accident.
If it can be repaired, I'd like it to.
Yeah, that's a good funding source.
Right.
So, okay, so make sure we get pictures of that tomb.
When they open it,
Yeah.
he takes a whole bunch of pictures whenever he does that and stuff. He was trying to find some for me to bring in when we were deciding on it to show, but he couldn't find them on
Mhm.
the 2 he's done in the past. He did similar ones in Pembroke and then somewhere else in the western part of the state.
All we need is for that roof to give it. It's in it.
So that's why when they dig down, if it's not solid at all, they stop and go from there.
Yeah.
But
First parish will be supplying the water, so we'll have the hoses set up for them. They'll call me up and I'll open the bulkhead.
And so they'll be done probably.
Maybe in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. Good job. QR codes, we skipped that for tonight. Did we learn anything about Plato Turner? You gonna check on? him?
Yeah, I sent an email over to them. I also have an email out to, the woman at the, Wampanoags.
Mhm.
Did we still want to do that brochure?
And we don't have the CPA money, so
All right.
we'd have to fund it with another way.
No, that's fine. I've
Yeah.
emailed her several times and I hadn't heard back from her yet, so I didn't
So
know
don't
if it
bother.
was worth bothering up. Okay.
Okay.
Lynn, just curious, who are you trying to reach from the tribe?
Her name has just escaped me. She's the chief. Michelle?
Yes, I want to say it's,
From Herring Pond?
yes.
Yes.
Oh, it's Melissa.
Melissa, yes.
Hmm. Okay, do we have anything new to add about the book?
Yeah, we do actually. Really exciting. I'd like to give you all
Tom was all excited the other day when he came.
Oh, God, there's so much going on. It's incredible.
a lot, but I'm gonna keep it real quick. This is a draft of our prototype, which
Prototype.
Tom, this is a
Yeah, I
new
have one.
version, more updated. slightly
Oh, it
updated,
is? This is the most, today's
there's
update?
no- There's another update, but that was in.
All right. All right.
I just made some copies for the
I
commission.
like the cover, the new and the.
I
the
love
old
the
map.
color. Yeah.
Yeah.
the
This
color.
is, again, this is potential. I mean, this is where we're heading, but, you know,
Well, I mean, the cover of the book, we don't know, but
Right.
for.
This is
you know,
the promo.
Introducing it and for fundraising.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But please take your time, welcome any comments. John, we'd love to come into your committee when you meet again in the summer. And have this, when it's done, and, you know, we just team up or whatever, you know, a little update.
Sure.
this is really good.
I
It
love
really is
this.
Yeah.
This is really, I love like
Yeah.
this setup that you guys have, like this, do you know about the dead whale under?
Right, we want,
Job?
right, we want to
That's-
do little
that's
things like
phenomenal.
that all through the book and with interesting facts, you know, little interesting thing. Yeah, it's gonna be a high interest with a lot of.
This is
photographs.
really great.
I think the amount of work that's going into it, good grief, I hope it's great.
The designer, her skill sets are coming through, obviously.
They are.
Marina,
She's very good.
she's really good to work with.
Yeah.
Jim Farrell is the new
Yeah,
editor.
Jim Farrell knows everybody, you know, so he's good, he's helpful too. So,
If you ever move the meetings, not during work hours, would love to.
Yeah.
So are these gonna be like available? Are you gonna like bulk mail one to
Yeah.
everyone?
Well, you'll, not to everyone, but you'll probably laugh, but the QR code placeholder on the back. I've got a lead on that. You guys are way.
Oh, really?
Or probably, but we'll have that, new Facebook page that will have the QR code,
Yep.
eventually website. Anyway, so
Oh, amazing.
donations, we're gonna do formal fundraising kicking off in the summer, just starting with some businesses,
Yep.
get the rust off, and start trying that.
Yep.
You know, into the fall, and then meanwhile, Tom would like to do some, you know, select residence mailings.
right, we'll do mailings, yeah,
We'll get it out there.
and visiting
Start to.
businesses, we need the money, so we're gonna be pushing this summer, starting this summer, going right into the fall. We're gonna be seeing people 2 or 3 extra times. It'll be all right. We'll
You wanna dial for dollars?
Yeah.
No, honestly,
get
we
GoFundMe.
run, we used to do it for one of the other groups I was in. We would just
Yeah.
get some of the high school kids, if they have to do community service or
Yeah,
whatever.
right.
Set up some phones.
Phone banks, yeah.
And call people
Yeah.
and sell stuff.
We'll see, we'll
Yeah,
think of
Lynn,
everything.
down the road, if you have time for any things like that, or, someone's, GoFundMe page.
Yep.
You
Another thing that I've been seeing a lot of on rescues, and they're making pretty good money on it, is buying like a spectacular prize and then having only like 25 spots available or something, and you sell for bigger ticket. So like they have one right now that if you win, you can choose between, it's like a $400 like hammock pole setup, or you can get, a planter with a trellis and, but it's a $10 entry.
Yeah, right,
know,
right, yeah.
The product's
Sure.
$500, so
Oh,
she's
yeah.
selling 25 spots.
It's gonna be a very high quality book, high quality paper, beautiful color or sepia or whatever. We're going to try to make it as good as we possibly can.
And if you
That's
do,
our goal.
like your book stuff. You know what I mean? Like, have the businesses buy a quarter page, a half a page, where they
Exactly.
can
Yeah,
say
that's
like,
what we're doing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
happy 300th
Yeah.
birthday.
We have to. At first, I didn't like the idea, but we've got to.
I think
No,
it
it's-
can
we
be
gotta-
done.
You know what? That's historic in itself. though.
It is, of
Yeah.
course it is,
Back
yes.
to the old
And I was
days.
gonna say, and you
Well, I
can
remember that
make
business
it
and yep.
look really classy.
Oh, this
As
person will
opposed
make
to,
it look
like,
classy. She'll be-
Putting somebody like under a car fixing it or something.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It'll be all
Something
right.
against car. Huh?
Huh?
You got
No,
something
it's
against
just
And
not-
Ken, by the way,
not really with the theme.
and Ken is working enormous hours on this. And I must say, I feel, woo, when I see him,
Is
I get
this-
tired.
Piece of art,
The whole team is.
What?
is
That's-
that like an actual piece
Yeah,
of
that's
art?
that's from whatever early this century, Tom knows the date, the muralist that's at the
Oh.
school.
Where,
That is.
oh, yeah,
really
That's
that,
gonna be-
that was,
that's gonna be an
that was
inside
done
cover.
by Kingston artists. There were about
Inside, yeah.
20 of them involved in it. It was a big deal. And right now it's at the middle school library. You can go in and see it. Just, it's beautiful. It's way up and all the way around in the library room.
That, it is really beautiful. I've
It
never
is
seen it
good.
before.
I
I
know.
haven't.
Yeah, it really, we should take a field trip down there, take a look at it. It really is worth it.
This would be kind of cool
All
for like,
pops.
merch.
Hmm.
Like tea towels or
Oh, I see.
bookmarks.
Oh, yeah, we've been thinking of all kinds of.
This bookmarks out.
All right.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
Good.
Yep.
Good. Can we take that?
please, I'll keep it, yeah, I have extras, if anybody knows someone you want to hand it out to.
I think this is so
It's a
cool.
draft, but.
So
Which committee?
30th, just a few things. We're kind of on a hiatus right now with the working groups, going the wrong way. Looks like we're going to be doing
Working groups going the wrong way?
going their own way.
Oh, okay.
To start planning out the different events we're doing. I think we're gonna start it out in, December of 25 by doing a ball. So that working group is currently working on that. And then, we did get word from Representative Lenatra. We had asked for money from the state. And it's already passed the House. I believe it's passed the Senate. We just have to wait for the governor to sign the bill, but we received $50,000 from the state of Massachusetts.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Whoa.
How much?
50,000.
Wow,
50 grand.
good for you.
That's a
Boy,
good
I
scholarship.
wish we could
Yes.
get something like that. That would really help our bar.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, that's moving forward. We've done a couple of small events, just promoting our, online, clothing and merchandise that we're fundraising for.
Where is
Um,
that website? I
Um,
meant to ask you
it's
about
right,
that.
right on the town website, under the 300th committee, there's a, QR code that you can get right onto that.
It's on the town.
And it's a local company. You just order from them, they'll ship it to you. We're in the process of trying to do that. And again, we're still currently looking for members, if we can get some, but everything seems to be moving forward. And I don't know if anybody has seen this, but this is actually the
that was one.
thing from the 250.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
That was
if anyone
a
wants to-
250?
Yes,
Yeah,
if anyone
that's
wants to
250,
take a look,
What year was that?
76.
No.
I think,
They did everything in the month of June. We're gonna actually spread it out throughout the year.
it's a very good idea.
The family field day.
Mhm.
I totally remember that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do that's one of our
Except they
plans, is
called
an
it-
old home day.
What they
Oh,
call it.
Old home
absolutely,
day.
you must.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
loved that.
Give people a taste of the way it was.
Yes.
And maybe a yacht race out in the Grays
That's a
Beach, yeah.
possibility, yes.
No, just a boat parade
Yeah.
kind of thing, That's what they used to do.
All the
Actually,
people that used to
You
be
should do
there.
it, but it's build
that?
your
All
own
the people
boat.
on
So there's only two
And
people
see
that
if it
still alive.
floats.
Oh, Somebody, get-
Or like you could give the high school the cement canoe project
yeah, that's fun.
and then we'll have the cement canoe races.
Yeah.
Wow, it's cool.
Will the ball be at the Reed or something?
So we discussed, I think we're gonna do something separate at the Reed, just because it's that building's 100th anniversary that year as well.
Yeah.
Parking
Wow.
is horrendous, and to bring any food in there, is difficult because they got rid of the kitchen. So I think they're
Oh, they
looking,
did.
yeah, so I think they're looking possibly to do the Coffin building on Elm Street by the water department there.
They used to call it the George Washington Ball. They would have them periodically.
Really? Is that what it's
Yeah,
called?
George Washington Ball.
So
And
one of,
sometimes people would dress up like colonials.
one of our thoughts is to raffle off famous people of Kingston and you come dressed up as that person.
Well, that'd be great. It'd be
Yes.
fun. Yeah, I'll be Mary Seaver. I'm not a Seaver.
John, you doing a road
Well, you didn't
race?
know that.
What's that?
Road race?
That's a possibility. Yeah,
Do
we've
the
been
turkey
thinking
trot.
about it.
I did.
Yeah.
No, I'll be Farmer John Gray and I'll come in with them.
Yeah, smelling the manure.
Right, smelling of the manure.
That's really cool.
All right,
What good ideas.
let's go.
We still need people, yeah.
Is there anybody
We do
else,
if you're
We're still
interested.
doing 4 p.m.
Anybody
Uh,
else?
anything else to say?
Yeah.
We have to
we'll
get down
back
and
to it.
talk to
Yeah,
the issue, you know.
you and I can go.
Yeah. Well, or a letter. My wife recommends a letter first.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll work on it when I get back.
Where are you going?
Can't talk.
Okay.
Any other business tonight?
Real quick, with Dave McKee leaving, do we need to, not to make more work for other people, but do we need a CPC member?
We'll see, yeah. The CPC is short of 2 regular people anyways, yeah. And member from.
Does
the
it
main-
require you to sit on that committee or just go?
Yeah,
through?
no, you're a voting
You're a
member.
Voting member, yeah.
No, she doesn't
We can
know
only
what
give her
she's
so many jobs.
Getting into. City secretary,
I know.
thinking,
Is that who's meeting over there right now, though?
no. it's
No, that's
fine.
That's conservation.
They meet less than once a month. The CPC,
They're
Yeah.
necessary.
and they give out a lot of money to the town. It's an important committee, but they don't mean as much as we used to. So it's doable, but when the time comes where they have to review all the projects, if there are a lot of them, sometimes they might need a couple times a month
Mhm.
for that. period.
I'll look about it, yeah.
We'll look into the committee, because we'll have to appoint someone. else.
Yeah, can you introduce me to whoever is on it and maybe I can go sit on one if they have a meeting anytime soon?
Dave is on. Is he staying on that too? Yeah.
No,
yeah.
he was
Oh, he
our
can't.
representative, so
Oh,
that's
so
why
that's it.
I brought that up. Him gone, we
Okay,
need to give him
right.
that new representative.
Do you have his email?
Yes,
You can just email him and ask him for,
info. Okay.
yeah. You can take it to one of the meetings. I don't know when, if you're in the meeting over the summer. Anything else? Okay, motion to adjourn. It's 2-hour meeting. today.
Yes, I move to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All right, all there.
Aye.
Aye.
Close out here.